right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on this very rainy morning, but we're excited that you all are here. We're going to get started with our September press availability with our Superintendent, Dr. Rogers. As always, you'll hear some really important updates from her, and then following her updates, we will open it up for questions. And so, without additional delay, Dr. Rogers, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, it is a rainy Tuesday, but I'm happy that you guys could join me. Very appreciative that you're here for the September press conference. I'm pleased to provide you with some updates on how the first month of school year has gone, share information on our fiscal year 2025 operating budget process, and review highlights from my transition team's final report. And then, of course, as Ms. Onijala said, I am very happy to take questions after the updates. Before I begin, I want to welcome some special guests that we have in attendance. Senator Benjamin Brooks, Board Chair Janie Lichter, and TABCO President Cindy Sexton. Also want to thank members of Cabinet who are here with us this morning. I want to thank all of you for joining us and for your commitment to Team BCPS students, staff, and families. We're just about 1 month into the new school year, and it has been a strong start for us. My leadership team and I have been out visiting schools throughout the county, and we've been very pleased to see rigorous teaching across all content areas, starting from day one, highly engaged students, and excited leaders across schools and offices. At the elementary level, teachers prepared over the summer for the launch of and implementation of our new ELA curriculum, HMH into Reading, in all schools. And at the secondary level, we are continuing our implementation of illustrative mathematics curriculum. We also know that high-quality, evidence-based curriculum is the key to raising student achievement. And so, to that end, you will hear a lot about our efforts throughout the year. We will examine data to evaluate implementation of curriculum, student learning, and determine additional professional development needs. I'm pleased to report that the first phase of decentralization of our ESOL centers has gone very well. And many middle schools and high school welcome students receiving ESOL services to their zone schools at the beginning of the school year. Phase 2 of the decentralization process will involve meeting with school leadership teams of the next set of schools to discuss professional development opportunities and support registration for our students, especially for those students who will be transitioning to grades 6 and 9 in next fall. We are laser focused on our 4 priority areas: academic achievement, infrastructure, safety and climate, and highly effective teachers, leaders, and staff. We firmly believe that if we embrace all stakeholders, engage them in authentic collaboration, and empower them to be a part of positive change, then our students, staff, and system will excel. We are prioritizing resources, investments, and support in these most critical areas now to ensure our collective success moving forward. And so that is why I am extremely excited to share with you information regarding our FY25 operating budget process. Our process is officially underway. I'm excited to have information about this process and our commitment to making sure that all stakeholders have multiple opportunities to get involved and share their thoughts about how Team BCPS can fast forward to meet the needs of our students and staff. Work on the operating budget for next fiscal year typically begins in the summer, with a preliminary budget estimate completed by early fall. After considering all requests from offices and reviewing recommendations from schools, executive leaderships, and stakeholder groups, I will submit a proposed budget to the Board of Education in January. As we work together to build the operating budget, student learning will be our #1 priority. Our operating budget lays out strategies we will use to achieve our goals of being a premier school system in the state and nation, and matches them with our investments that we need to implement strategies. We encourage our community to be a part of this critical process. We want to hear from staff, families, students, and community members, and we will be providing multiple opportunities for them to share their thoughts and ideas on the areas that they believe we should prioritize in the budget and investments that we should make to help us provide the greatest public education possible to every student. Opportunities for the FY25 operating budget stakeholder input include operating budget that will be sent out this week to all staff, parents, and stakeholders. 5 different community conversations on the operating budget. The first one will take place October 12th at Sparrows Point High School. Board of Education public hearings, area advisory council meetings on the budget, and a new Budget 101 website that provides information and an overview of what's in the BCPS operating budget. As you know, and you have heard me share at board meetings, this will be a challenging budget cycle for BCPS and other school systems across the nation because federal ESSER dollars will run out soon. We are facing a budget shortfall, commonly known as the fiscal cliff from ongoing ESSER initiatives. Additionally, there are significant new expenses associated with the blueprint for Maryland's future legislation, which also need to be covered. With these challenges, extra scrutiny will be given to all budget submissions to help identify potential savings that can be redirected. We look forward to engaging with Team BCPS community on this important process that will help to shape the future of our school system. For my final item this morning, I'd like to share highlights of my transition team's final report that was released at the end of August. 39 individuals graciously agreed to serve on the team and share their deep expertise and understanding of the issues impacting Baltimore County Public Schools and public education. The team critically assessed our current state of teaching and learning, operations, and culture and context. They were charged with developing short-term and long-term recommendations that will spur system progress in the following focus areas: teaching and learning, culture and climate, infrastructure, operations, and community engagement and communication. Their assessment has resulted in a list of 23 short and long-term recommendations to drive improvement in those 4 focus areas. I'm grateful to the members of the team who worked intensely over a 21-day period to develop very comprehensive and thoughtful recommendations. The full report is available on our website. I have launched a review process with all members of Cabinet, and we are working through an implementation timeline. For some of the recommendations, work has already begun across divisions. We will share all details about next steps with the community soon. At this time, I invite Ms. Onijala to come back forward.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. So we'll open it up for questions. If you could just raise your hand, I'll come to you with the mic. If you can stand, please don't take the mic from me. I'll hold on to it. Thank you. All right.
Oh, I'm so used to taking the mic. You mentioned about budgeting and preparing for the new year. Also, the academic achievement is your top priority. We know that recent MCAP scores have come out from around. How much is that going to play into what you see in writing and the numbers and how you plan for the coming year?
It's definitely going to have an impact. We have been fortunate, like all school systems, to have received overall scores for us to have an idea of where we were. We made some modest gains, particularly in ELA, less gains in math, in alignment with the progress across the state. However, we have to take into account today they're releasing school by school results. We have, an update on what that looks like. We see in some of our schools, for ELA in particular, some bright spots. So we're going to want to talk to those principals and those leadership teams to find out what they did, to help their students to move forward. A smaller number of schools in mathematics, but we really want to hear from those school leadership teams to make sure that we're not missing anything as we continue to plan. But what we know that we need to do to move forward is to make sure that we have high quality curriculum, which, thanks to the new contract, we have an ELA science-based, and we procured in mathematics a few years ago, but it was during the pandemic for implementation. So we need strong implementation, which means a really cohesive professional learning plan for all members of Team BCPS, and then then the last piece of that is strong professional learning communities, meaning whether we're talking about central office, school leadership teams, individual content grade level teams, that we're really engaging with student data on a regular basis and making real-time decisions to course correct to meet the needs of our students so that there are no surprises when the state assessments come. So we have a plan. We have a pretty good idea. We're going to get deeper into it, I imagine, this week and next week with the additional data that's coming out today. And just make sure that our plan moving forward is the correct plan and what we need to do, as well as continue and engage with a variety of stakeholders for input.
Speaking of MCAP, wanted to know if there are any schools that stood out to you that you wanted to highlight for their scores?
Well, I have a short list here. Again, this is fresh, very fresh off the press. In terms of ELA, we have elementary schools on the list, middle schools, high schools, Catonsville Elementary, Westchester, Hillcrest, Catonsville High, Western Tech, Fort Garrison, Summit Park, Pretty Boy, and many more on the list for ELA, that they've made some significant gains in terms of overall students. And why that's significant and is important is because you can't do that just with one grade level. So there had to be gains across several grade levels, which is what we're looking for, that all students are making progress moving forward. In mathematics, because this is so fresh, we've only had the opportunity to look at specific, subject areas or grade bands. So for grade 6, for example, Catonsville Middle made significant progress. Sudbrook Magnet made significant progress in algebra. Hereford High, we have Perry Hall Middle, Eastern Tech High. For mathematics, we haven't been able to look across all grade levels yet, but we do see schools that we want to have some conversations with their leaders and leadership teams and their teachers to find out what some of those promising practices were. You're welcome. And that is not a comprehensive list, Kirsten. Okay.
We know that Kerwin has taken a big impact on many governments, throughout the state. Can you talk a little bit more about how it's impacting the budget, how it will ultimately be covered, and what accountability measures BCPS has in place to make sure students are getting everything they can from this blueprint?
Well, I appreciate that question. Blueprint is certainly impacting all school systems across the state of Maryland. I would say to you that for Baltimore County Public Schools, the fifth pillar is accountability and implementation from the AIB board. But when you're looking at the first four, when we're thinking about pre-K, CTE, we're looking at the career ladder, as well as making sure that for our communities that need the most support, that we're providing that. Those are all areas that we've been working on and developing a plan. In terms of the budget, when you look at the funding for Blueprint, and I think we have an 8-year kind of trajectory how the funding was, this FY25 coming up is the smallest percentage of Blueprint funding that school systems are going to receive. But when you look at the expectations for implementation, they continue to move forward. So that is a piece of the challenge. For us, we're going to expand pre-K access in our schools. That is critically important to us. CTE, we are, I believe, leading the state in terms of access and proficiency for our students. So we're going to continue to move forward in that vein. We have very strong people working together on the career ladder and national board teacher certification to make sure that we are supporting those aims of the Blueprint. Last year, as you know, we were able to move our compensation, so we are second in the state, right underneath that $60,000 mark that's required from Blueprint, as well as advancing the bonuses that are required for national board teacher certification, including working at a high performing school. So all of those things have a monetary value associated with it. And so that's why it's critically important for us to engage with the community, for us to identify what the priorities are, and then for us to sit down as members of cabinet, members of departments and divisions to identify what are some of those things that we're going to perhaps have to reallocate and shift funding, because we can't ask for all of it, and we know that the Blueprint funds comes with a much smaller percentage than FY26 and beyond.
One follow-up. School safety is a big conversation statewide right now. Can you talk about what talks might have been in place now and any additional measures to make schools safer throughout the county?
Absolutely. School safety is definitely one of our 4 priorities. For us, we have started off the school year making sure that we've communicated to everyone what our expectations are. We have an updated code of conduct, and it's updated based on the data from the last 2 school years, as well, the infractions as well as the consequences. So communication has been a big part of it, expanding our access to mental health resources and supports for families, but also moving forward with OmniAlert, which is the weapons detection, to leverage that technology on our cameras to enhance safety across all of our schools has been critically important, and just really that open communication, being responsive to meeting the needs of our staff members and our families. But we know that staff and students must feel safe in order for us to really focus on teaching and learning. So thank you for that question. I'm not complaining.
Going once? Okay, all right.
There you go.
Can you just talk a little bit, you mentioned OmniAlert, about how that works. Is that in every school?
So it will be in every school. OmniAlert is AI on top of existing cameras, and it's a weapons detection system. And so it's really connected to a company that has, real people there. They hire military and law enforcement. And so if there is a alert that there's a weapon in a school, it is validated or not validated within 3 to 5 seconds by a human, and immediately they contact all of emergency personnel as well as everyone who in the system and in the school needs to know. Message goes out, emergency message goes out on mobile devices as well as desktop devices, because what they've all found in the aftermath of horrific incidents is every second counts. And so this decreases those seconds, and to make sure that we're in communication with emergency personnel right away. And it also follows camera by camera, so that if hopefully we'll never have this, emergency personnel will respond, it will tell you, where the emergency is exactly. So there's not a lot of time wasted trying to figure out what to do, where to go in the building, and things of that nature. And so we start with high schools, then middle schools, then elementary schools, but it will be in all of our schools.
Shaking that we're good. So if that's the case, I think we'll allow Dr. Rogers to get back to the business of running the school system. And we want to thank you all for your time, and we will see you at October's press availability. Thank you, and be safe. Drive safely.
Thank you.